Subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss another update from India Forums.
There's one interesting story because we were shooting at one point of time when COVID was quite rampant in London. I remember one day my daughter tested positive, and I remember that cold morning when we were shooting. I was sneezing a bit because it was so cold, and everybody was looking at me like, "Oh, has he got COVID because his daughter has tested positive?" But I think my daughter's was a false positive also because the next day we tested her, she was negative. So.
First of all, a very warm welcome to India Forums. We have with us the much amazing Purab Kohli, and we will be talking about the London Files. First of all, if you can tell me something about your character and about how was it shooting for the show. We've seen the trailer and the response has been amazing so far. So how was it for you to shoot for the show?
Well, the show is produced by someone I've worked with before and get along with very well. So, and of course, there's Arjun is the main lead of the show, who I also get along with very well. So, from the start, from the word go, it was wow, okay, I'm going to be on a set again with these producers, with this actor. It was a no-brainer for me to say, okay, let's get on, let's get some work done. And then, of course, working with Sachin, the director of the show, the story of the show, the writers of the show. I think it's been quite an amazing experience, London Files, and now seeing the attention that the trailer is getting, the response the trailer is getting, all the promotional material that's being put out right now is getting a very positive response, and especially about my character and the way my look is. People are talking about it, so. All of that feels very good. Yeah, it feels like that's what we do our for as actors. You want people to see it, people to like it, people to identify with it, people to connect with it, feel with the characters. So if you're able to achieve that and excite people on a trailer level, then part of the job is done.
Of course. There was this interview I was reading where Arjun mentioned, how there is nothing like this on international or national platforms. And of course, for an actor to say something like that means that, there's a lot that it has to offer. The initial reviews have also actually started coming out. I don't know if you've read anything yet. What do you feel about that? And in terms of the scale at which the show has been shot, or for that matter, the story that it narrates, or the topic that it picks about immigration laws, for that matter, what do you think about it?
I don't think it talks about immigration laws in a very sort of political sort of way. I think one has to remember that London Files is an entertainer. It's an entertaining show. It's the story of it's actually really at its heart. It's a story about this detective who's sort of has a past and has got stuff going on in his life, and he's called in, and sort of pulled out from the cupboard at the back and said, "Okay, now shake up and you're the best at what you do and find this girl." And this girl happens to be my daughter, which is this media baron who has this big media empire, and his daughter's gone missing, who's a bratty teenager. And then Om's character is set out to find her. When he sets out to find her, this opens up a whole can of worms with what she's involved with, what the father's involved with. Could he have? Is he the one who's actually made her go missing? So I think the show by itself, to come back to the point I was trying to make, the show by itself is an entertainer, and it's set around an immigrant community that has sort of been suppressed for a long time, and because of laws that the country has around immigration and what they turn out to do, and so I don't think it's a political point on what immigration law should be. It's just sort of it's an entertainer, a thriller from what arises from when people are suppressed and put out there what extent that they can go to. So yeah, I don't think anything is definitely not like this on Indian platform. So I don't know about international. I've not watched so many. So but I think for the Indian scenario, it's quite sort of refreshing series. Nice cast. We've all put in a lot of hard work. a lot of hard work given into physicalities of the character. You can see, especially with Arjun and with me, you've never seen Arjun like that. I had to age myself a bit because I'm playing a father of a 19, 20-year-old. So we were interesting looks. And about the reviews you spoke about, I haven't read any actually. So I'm wondering what are these reviews and who've written them? Voot has not shared it with me yet, so I would like to see them. Alistair,
They must
please.
have come out just at 2 o'clock, I believe.
I'm sure
alright.
now it's releasing in a couple of days, so I'm sure some of the journals have already seen it. You know.
I plan to see it today. So yes.
Yeah,
Alright.
you all often get to see it before we get to see it. Especially if I'm not in. Yeah.
We should get some privileges, right? Alright.
Yeah, of course.
Also,
Of course.
moving on, something that I tend to ask often, thriller as a genre is currently overcrowded, especially as far as the Indian space is concerned. But obviously, every thriller has its own nuances that set it apart from what we've already been seeing. Uh, a similar kind of thought process, was it anything? Was it something that actually came to your head also when you gave it a get go? Uh, because it is touted as a thriller and a mystery thriller at that it is.
Well, I think genres have always been when something gets popular, genre gets popular. Thriller now is the sort of new cycle. It's a natural tendency of any entertainment, any platform that you use to distribute entertainment, whether it's film, whether it's the web, whether it's television. The minute something gets popular, it's natural for because there's a lot of service providers out there. They all want to cash in on that, and then a lot of things get made in that space. So clearly, thriller, mysteries, these are sort of the trend right now you're seeing in India. You're seeing lots of them come out in India. And it'll change in a few years, something else will happen and more will come. So I think it's not, I mean, as an actor, you're always wanting to do something different all the time. At least for me, I'm always trying to see how can I do something different. But you can't really judge and say that I'm not going to do thriller because I want to do something different. You have to find characters that are different within those thrillers because that's what's getting made right now. A lot of them are getting made. And I myself enjoy watching thrillers right now. But I do miss also some genres. I miss romantic comedies. You're not seeing many of those come out, for example. I really miss that. So I guess, but there are phases. Now tomorrow when romantic comedy comes, which is great success, and you'll see a whole spate of them coming. So that's the nature of the business. It's the nature of the entertainment business. When something really works and people want to give more of it because it's entertaining, because people want to watch it. One has to keep in mind, remembering that your business is to provide some sort of entertainment. Or, I mean, the thing is, a lot of entertainers and a lot of actors, including myself, want to do stuff that is issue based, because that then also becomes a part of the entertainment. Or you're trying to sort of say something with your message or your art form, as it were. And if you can do a combination of both, you entertain as well as say something out there, that's an ideal thing that people would like to achieve, but is hard to achieve every time. So so I guess you as someone who's the working class, as it were, in the industry, you sort of just take on with what work you get, and you try and find and make those characters that you play interesting in some way or the other.
Right, of course. Also, two things. As someone who's been around for such a long time, does the amount of screen time that you get at this point of time, in any manner, factor in when you say yes or no to any kind of a show, project, movie, anything that's coming your way? And number two, also as someone who's been around for such a long time, what goes into making you say yes for a project in the first place?
So to answer your first question, screen time, yes, it is a factor. You want to be a lot on the screen, so that is a factor, but it's not the only factor. I think for me, the first things that come into play are the general story of the whole story of the project, or of this the story, basically. What story is being told? What is the story that they're trying to tell? So that's the first thing I look at. Second, strangely, I give importance to also the producer, the director. Do I really want to work with these people? That's something I try and feel very attached to and make decisions based on that. Then there is the character by itself that you're going to play. How is that character placed amongst within this story? Money, how much money are you going to make out of it? And I think location. I'm very interested sometimes in where the project is being filmed and being shot, because I like being at home. And if you're taking me out of my home, I want to go to a nice place. I don't want to be in a really dumpy place to go and shoot, and I'm not happy. And so it takes a lot for someone to pull me out of my house. So it's important for me to be in a good location to shoot.
All right, that sounds about right. Also, given the nature of the show that London Files is, were there any? Do you remember actually any instance, a particular sequence, or something related to do with the shooting process that probably wasn't very easy to come around in the first place, but over the due course of shooting, it became easier, and you probably got the knacks better, or it got synced better, or however, any anecdotes that might be there to share?
I think with London Files, the part was very nicely written, and also they were very open to suggestions. So in fact, when I read the script the first time, I had a few things about the character that I felt needed to come in, and the writers, Pratik, he was very interested to know what I had to bring on the table, and he incorporated it also in the character. Secondly, I was very interested to see how this character looked and how he was styled, and how because he's also father of a 19-year-old. If I take out my beard, I look like I'm 24 years old. I have this problem that I look very young without my beard, so I have to keep keeping my beard to get age, so people believe I'm 43. But they don't believe I'm 43. So I had the beard, but when you're playing a 19-year-old, it's a little older. The beard just won't do the job. This white beard that I have. So we worked with some interesting prosthetics. Very light prosthetics on the eyes, some sort of pigmentation of the skin. Simone, who's my makeup artist, did a really good job with all of that. And that's what you see now when you see Amar. You see him as a father of a 20-year-old, and the position, the way he's styled. The stylist of the show did a fantastic job. And it took us some time to arrive there, because the first time I tried the costumes, I felt like, okay, it's not what I imagined it to be when I read the script. This is how I see Amar Roy, and what you're giving me to wear is not that. And Sachin, the director of the show, he was also very in tune. I think for me and Sachin, that really worked out. The first day we met, only we were in sort of sync with each other on how we saw this character. Yeah, so the flow of the character was very smooth going through it. Any kind of disastrous anecdote, I don't think on this one there was any sort of major. I think besides shooting on freezing cold nights, there was nothing very major that went terribly wrong.
All right. Also,
we were shooting in one. There's one interesting story, because we were shooting at one point of time when COVID was quite rampant in London. So that there was that fear that was constantly there. And I remember one day my daughter tested positive, because everybody in her school was testing positive. She had no symptoms, nothing. She tested positive. So I called the producers and said, my daughter's positive. And then I went and did a PCR test, but I was negative. So that was a bit of a stressful day, because you don't want to go onto a set. Those sets, they try and create a bubble, and if one person gets sick and it spreads to everybody else,
right,
then it goes crazy. But thankfully, I tested negative, and the law in the UK at that point of time was that if you do a PCR test and you're negative, you can still go to work. So I went in to shoot, and I remember that cold morning when we were shooting, I was sneezing a bit because it was so cold, and everybody was looking at me like, "Oh, has he got COVID because his daughter has tested positive?" I think my daughter's was a false positive also because the next day we tested her, she was negative. So,
Okay.
you know, so that
All
was a bit
right.
of.
All right. Okay. Also, if I have to ask you at this point of time, what is the kind of work that you want to do, be it on any medium for that matter, and is there a specific medium that you want to focus on at this point of time, given
I think
the kind of
I think
content we see?
I think I'm open to any kind of medium. I'm not. I don't shy away from television. I don't shy away from cinema. I don't shy away from the web distribution platforms. I like them all. I think all of them have got their own interesting ways of working. The way you play a character in each platform and on each medium is completely different. And I look forward to work from all of them. I don't do theater that much. I would like to do some more theater. I've not done that much in my life, so that's one medium I've not explored fully, and I feel the lack of that. Um, but I look at each medium differently, and I get excited by all of them, and I want to do all of them. In terms of characters and roles, again, I mean, I'm just always looking to explore something new, something I've not done before.
All right. Probably the
Hmm.
last question from me. You are also back on the screens with Arjun, and you mentioned at the beginning, very beginning, how the makers and Arjun and everything just it was a get go for you in the first place. How was it shooting with him, and what was the kind of synergy and the energy that you managed to get on set, and how was it?
It was lovely to be back with Arjun, and I was quite fascinated by seeing him play this character. Because if you look at Arjun, most of his roles that he does are sort of very dudeish, heroic kind of roles. And this is the first time you see him in a completely different avatar, and I think he's played it really well. There was a scene we did together in the prison cell, and we were talking to each other across the table. And I remember at one point it was his shot, and I was giving him cues, and I was just watching him and not thinking about what I was doing. Because when the camera's on both the actors, and you're only worried about yourself. But when you have an individual shot of an actor, then the other actor gets an opportunity to really watch his co-star perform. And I think I was really blown away by what he did in that scene. And I was like, wow, Arjun. And I said to him after, I said, it was really good. In fact, he fumbled on a line. And I said to him in the scene, I said, go on, it's going great. Don't stop now. Just go on. Just pick the line again. Go on. I remember saying that to him because he was so good in the scene. And I felt like he might have just gotten thrown away by something. And he stopped. And I said, no, go on. And even the director said, go on, because he was so good in it. So I think this is something of Arjun's fans should really look out for him in this series.
All right. I think that's about that from me. Anything you'd like to say to the people watching you and to the people who will be watching the show? And that's about that.
Well, I hope you enjoy. I hope you all enjoy London Files. We worked hard towards it at a time when COVID was rampant, and I think the film industry is one industry that really puts itself out there because we are mostly freelancers. We all have to get back to work as soon as possible. So I think, and it's quite a good entertaining show. It's got a good subject. It's got a nice thrilling vibe to it. So I think people will enjoy it if they see it.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for talking to us, and all the very best with the show. Looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you, Sanchita.
Thank you. Bye bye.